giving to the community. Good evening. My name is Kaitlyn Burst.
And my name is Samantha Reilly.
And we will be representing Coral Springs Charter School in our community giving project. The organization that we decided to avidly work with was Parkland Buddy Sports. Our mission was to raise awareness about the prominence of childhood disability in our community. The aim was to help fundraise for Parkland Buddy Sports, a nonprofit dedicated to providing year-round sports programs for children with special needs. With the money we raised, expenses for equipment as well as uniforms would be alleviated. This organization provides a safe space for these children in which they can develop lifetime bonds with their buddies who take on the role as mentors. For example, Samantha and I both avidly work in this organization where we both have buddies that we call almost every day to check up on. So some statistics that really made us want to work with this organization was that it had a global and community impact. So 6% of births across the globe are infants with critical birth defects, with 3.2 million of these having lifelong effects. Challenges these children face are going to be abnormally harder than they are going to be for neurotypical kids. They're going to experience delayed development, speech and communication problems, as well as behavior issues. So in our community, which is the Tri-County area of Pompano, Broward, and Miami-Dade, there are approximately 250,000 children with over 4,000 suffering from special needs. So Sam and I created a 4-step plan in order to maintain track of our mission. So these 4 steps, number 1 was to reach out to Bridget DeVita, who is the manager of Wings Plus. This is where we would be hosting our event. And we wanted to confirm a day for the fundraiser being January 11th of 2021. Number 2, we would contact Ken Webster, who is the finance contact for Parkland Buddy Sports. And he would link us to the PayPal. And so this would be easier for all of the donations to go directly to them instead of having to go through another transfer. Wendy Zips Hunter, who is the marketing representative, she would help us formulate our flyer for advertising and get the correct language out to the audiences. And number 4, we would reach out to Coral Springs Charter School faculty and clubs asking for extra credit and event credit in order to incentivize more student participation. Not only is student participation important in getting more revenue, but it's also that community aspect as well. So some project goals. We wanted to make an influx of around $1,100 in order to provide new equipment for programs, as well as new uniforms for volunteers and participants. So we wanted 600 from the webpage and 500 from the main event. This was mainly because Wings Plus would only be giving us 15% of overall profits. So we needed to have more people attend versus the webpage. And this is kind of how we decided the, breakup of the monetary. And we would have approximately 24 to 30 people if they donated an average 20 to 25 to the webpage. And we would need around 200 people to attend for the dinner night. The donation page was created for anyone who was unable to come to the main event due to medical complications or fear of COVID-19. This was essential mainly because of the people that we were working with. A lot of buddies of Parkland Buddy Sports, they have underlying medical conditions, and we wanted to make sure that they felt safe in their environment. We understand the difficulties that this pandemic has presented, and we wanted to make sure that this organization and donating to it was accessible to all. So the donor box, this was our online fundraising software, and this allowed the nonprofit organization to allow us to get donations directed right to them through their PayPal. We had to get into contact with Ken Webster, who is co-partner on the page with us, therefore authorizing him access to the link to the Parkland Buddy Sports PayPal. So on the page, we included important information such as the organization's logo, which is up here in the corner, pictures of their day-to-day activities, the flyer of our main event, and a description of the organization for donors. And once contributors donated, a formulated email was actually sent to them, thanking them for their benefaction. So here's some photos. So here's the description that we gave, as well as the flyer. And here was one of our donors who was gracious enough to let us post this. and it shows exactly the email that they received. So Sam and I didn't really understand in the beginning how important marketing was to this organization, but through working with Wendy Hunter, we were able to develop our color and our language scheme in order to help more advertise to the organization's brand. Colors convey emotions, and in using the brand imaging, members of the community are going to be more aware of the upcoming event. We also learned about proper terms to institute, such as children of special needs versus special needs children. So in working with Wendy Hunter, we were able to use the platform Canva to design our flyer. So some advertising methods, we used the platforms of Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. And this was in order to gain a larger attendance at our dinner night, in order to get our message out to the public. Now, other than social media, we had the Parkland Talk, which is our local newspaper, in which we received over 530 shares of our event. We had a mass email where the board sent an email out to over 7,000 of their contacts. This included the buddies, the sponsors, the volunteers, and staff. And like I said, with social media, some examples of this would be Coral Springs Charter Clubs, Parkland Buddy Sports, Wings Plus, and Family and Friends. And we have Schoology, which is our online school platform in which Coral Springs Charter faculty posted our flyer on their classroom pages. So here's the Parkland Talk right here. Here's Wings Plus posting our flyer. And here's a little clip of the email that was sent to the 7,000 contacts.
So the incentives. We wanted to acquire credit from the clubs and Coral Springs Charter faculty to ensure that we had a greater attendance to the fundraiser, to help ensure our goal of 200 attendees and our monetary goal of $500. So in total, we received 3 clubs and 14 teachers that were willing to offer event and education credit. So in monitoring and controlling, so to maintain track of our goal and monitoring progress, Kaitlyn checked her email every day around 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. To review donation income and help to provide Parkland Buddy Sports with updates about the growth of this fundraiser. We also monitored the social media over the course of the week in order to help remind students and families about the main event, which would take place on January 11th, 2021 at Wings Plus. And during the fundraiser, Kaitlyn and I stood outside of the establishment and we had printed flyers to hand to people as they entered the restaurant, as well as a sign-in sheet that students would fill out to ensure they received their incentives for coming. And we also had a QR code printed for anyone who wanted to make further donations. These are some pictures, and that is also so these are pictures of attendees and the check that we received from Wings Plus. Now, the evaluation. Our overall goal was $1,100 and we exceeded that by $370, raising a total of $1,470. Our dinner night goal was $500 and we exceeded that by $500, totaling an exact amount of $1,000. Which means we also had 450 dinner night attendees, which was over 200 more than what we had expected. The goal of our donation page was $600, and we did fail to meet that by $130. However, since we did exceed our total goal, we counted that as a win, and our fundraiser page in total made $470 with 25 donations made. So the risk factors and solutions. So one of the biggest risk factors we had to consider, as it was early 2021, was COVID-19. And we wanted to make sure that we followed the safety guidelines in making our event and carrying it and executing it. So we ensured masks were worn in the restaurant before and after meals. And we ensured that social distancing would definitely take place with no more than 10 to a table in one party. And another risk factor we had to account for would be a lack of advertising. We needed to promote our event to the best of our abilities, and because of the pandemic moving everything virtually, we only used virtual advertising methods, so social media, local news media, mass emails, and then the incentives were also more virtual. So we had the only physical copies of advertising that we had were the paper, the flyers that we printed out and handed to people as they entered the restaurant. So our lessons learned: communication is key. An effective line of communication between event coordinators is crucial to ensure that the event runs smoothly. And also, we have to be prepared to handle complications that are outside of our control. Things happen and we just need to learn to adapt to them and act accordingly and behave professionally when handling these situations. So developing personal relationships with people you work with is definitely an essential aspect of planning a fundraiser. If Kaitlyn and I didn't have the previously established connections that we did, the carrying out our event would not have run as smoothly as it did. And utilizing your community to help. This is friends, family, teachers, our Coral Springs Charter staff. They all helped so much to really ensure that our event ran smoothly and made sure that it was well known to the community. Thank you very much.